Alright, another day strikes. Let's get this work. I have a few clips that I want to play. Obviously, you're seeing the video here, but for most of the time, it's silent. But there are some parts of it that I want to play. For example, for the yoga session, I want to play the part in which I state my intentions, as Cassandra tells us to, along with the part in which I'm just about to finish the 5-minute plank challenge. So I'm going to play the live sound of both of those clips in this video. Off the jump, I'm going to go straight to the end because that's what I'm thinking about at the moment. I'm referring to, as you'll see, the Scott Burnhard 10-minute workout. So I was doing this workout and I was finding it quite tough. There was a part in which I thought I'd reached my healthy limit, but even though I thought this, I carried on going. And I feel happy I did, because I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do certain exercises. I wouldn't have been able to find I wouldn't be able to have experience of the new obliques workout that he shows in the video that I've gone and done. I call it new because it's new to me. Now I'm going to go right back to the other end of the video to here at the start. This is probably the most fun session, the most fun yoga session I've ever had. I think it was just because I was just joking around. Although I was focusing on getting these stretches, I wasn't taking it so seriously, and I think that's what made this yoga session in particular, a lot more fun than the other ones have been. Not that they've been boring, but I experienced a lot more joy. I was pulling faces and I was joking around, and that's allowed me to enjoy the yoga session a lot more than I have done in previous sessions. Or should I say, in previous plank journey logs. Instead of doing the tabletop pose, in which I get a tight spine the day after, I decided to do that hamstring stretch there. Yes, I do want to stretch, but I don't want to injure myself. I don't want to have pain in my hamstrings, and I especially don't want to have pain in my spine. And hence, I'm not doing that tabletop exercise anymore. Tabletop as in tabletop pose. I say that because that's what I hear when she speaks about it. I think she called it a cat pose or something. The exercise I'm talking about, in which you bend your back. I think that's what she called it, but I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if you guys would... I'm not sure if I've clearly explained myself to you guys and you know what I mean. But you'd probably be able to figure it out if you go to previous logs. Overall, when it comes to the exercise part of this yoga session, or the stretch part of the yoga session, I should say, this made me feel ready to do the rest of the exercises compared to just going straight into them. I even said ready, like that. And that's a part of what I'm going to play in the clip. In the live sound, I mean. During this exercise and the exercise I did, which resembled that but on the other side, I really felt the stretch in my groin. I think she was talking about you're meant to feel the stretch in your hip flexors, but truthfully, that's why I feel it, and that's why I lean like this. Or lean like that, I should say. And now that I've lifted up my back leg, I feel it in the quads of that leg. In this case, my right leg. I lifted the wrong hand up. You lift the hand which is of your front, where your front foot is. So in this case, that'd be my left hand, as I've done there. I say that's what you're meant to do because that's what I've seen. That's what she does. And if I'm following that program, then it makes sense to do that. That said, I did feel a stretch in both of my pecs when I lifted my hand up in the air. I felt it more in my left than I did my right, because when I was, no, sorry, not because, and I think this is the case because I wasn't focusing on that chest stretch when I lifted my right hand in the air. But when I felt the stretch in my left pec, then I focused on it. All right, well, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the 5-minute plank challenge. I experienced some mental barriers. I experienced trying to put myself through mental barriers that I've made in the past, which I broke through. For example, there have been quite a few times in the past in which I'd stop at the 1.5 minute mark in the plank challenge, and I had thoughts of stopping at the 1.5 minute mark, but I later on thought, if I've been able to do it unbroken before, I'll be able to do it unbroken again. And I almost did. I did it unbroken for a lot longer than I did in the last video. I said I achieved it, but I think now, compared to how I'm going about it now, I did it a lot more unbroken in today's log than I did in the last one, because I'm not putting my knees on the floor. My knees are off the floor for a lot longer throughout this attempt of the 5-minute plank challenge than they were yesterday. But even still, I'm not going to go back and change the title and say I didn't achieve the 5-minute plank challenge. In my mind, I'm saying that I didn't achieve it completely this time, because my aims are now to do it with proper form and really unbroken this time, and that means not putting my knees on the floor even once. I'd say that these are high standards, but these are exactly the high standards that will allow me to progress, not only through being on my way to doing more tough exercises, but being able to do this with proper form for longer than I ever have been able to before. These are the high standards that are going to allow me to climb the plank journey ladder. These are the standards that are going to allow me to grow by in the sense of doing exercises. And I believe that there's no way these high standards won't trickle down and seep into the other aspects in my life that I have. It's not only exercise I'm doing, and just like with everyone else, that's the case. With some people, exercise is more a part of their life than others, of course, but for me, exercise isn't the only part of my life. And hence, I believe these high standards are going to seep into those other aspects of life, because I not only have other aspects of life, but I'm doing what it takes to grow as a person, so that's just going to naturally happen. Not only that, it's going to happen because I've said it's going to happen, and I genuinely believe myself when I say it. I'm able to believe myself when I say it because I've pushed through boundaries. Yesterday, I pushed through getting the 5-minute plank challenge done completely with no stopping. And even in today's episode, I didn't stop, to be fair. It's quite ironic that this part of the video is playing, because I'm speaking very seriously, but then it's just me in the video joking around. Anyway, back to it. I did things a bit differently today. Instead of having a cold shower before doing my exercises, I in fact have done these exercises before having a cold shower. I haven't had my shower yet, but I need to go and do that. I will after making this voiceover. It was like I had to really force myself to go and do the exercise before having the shower. I wanted to wash the comfort off me. I wanted to wash the comfort I had from waking up off me. So I wanted to go and have a cold shower, but I decided I'm going to switch things up. And after long enough, I decided, okay, no, I'm focusing on this and I'm giving myself no other way out than to do it, to practice mental control. Anyway, please enjoy the first clip. This is the first clip that has live sound in it, and then there's another one coming up. This clip shows me setting my intentions for all of the exercises I planned to do yesterday for today's session.
Bring your knees back together. Just take a comfortable seat. Seated.
Ready.
Close your eyes.
5-minute plank challenge. Scott Burnhard, 10-minute workout, level 3, level 4. 4 workouts, 4 of them. 4 of them. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna do the plank challenge unbroken, with a larger proportion of the exercises being with proper form.
Bringing the hands together at the front of the heart. Bowing forward. Namaste. Thank you so much, Yuki, for doing this quick morning stretch. Because you feel loosened up and ready to tackle the day ahead.
All right, back to the voiceovers. So the reason why I tapped the back of my leg there was to just remind myself and you guys that I was feeling some sort of feeling in my hamstrings. It could have been tightness or a stretch in my hamstring, but yeah, that's why I did that. And you just saw me point there because I just had an idea. It's this, the side view, getting a side view of me doing the plank challenge. I wanted to do this because it's something different. I can't remember the last time I've done this. I certainly did it in the very early stages of the plank journey, but I don't think I've done this recently. As the plank journey, as the 5-minute plank challenge plays, I'm just going to talk about all of the thoughts that I've had on my mind that I've written down both from yesterday and the day before yesterday. Okay, so the first thing that I made a note of is what I called a high and what I'd still call a high, and it's this. No technology in room when sleeping allowed me to wind down, find new shoulder exercises and think different thoughts. I can tell you, even though I don't remember the different thoughts that I've thought off the top of my head at that point in time, the day before yesterday, even though I have written down, I can tell you that even from the thoughts that I've had yesterday, that it's allowed me to think differently. And I'm going to talk about it in this video and the videos to come. When it comes to giving yourself time to think, this is the solution. In my opinion, this is what I call a core habit. And this is one of the examples of which I've started thinking differently, because I didn't think of core habits until yesterday. After some thinking, I've defined a core habit as a habit that fuels / encourages other habits of the same kind. For example, I've defined a healthy core habit to be one that fuels / encourages other healthy habits. And let me give you a very specific example of one that I've thought of. That would be what I've just been talking about right now. No technology in room at night when it's time to go to bed, all the way until you're in the middle of doing your morning routine the next day. This allows you to think and try new things out at night. Any exercises that I want to do, I can try out because I have a kettlebell here. Not only that, but if I wanted to, I have some tennis balls that I could juggle with. So if I wanted to improve my juggling skills, I can also do that. It also gives me time, because it gives me time to think, it allows me to build healthier thought patterns and develop these thought patterns. It allows me to do this through working through thought patterns that I've had on the topic in question from the past, and then from there I work through it and I create a new, healthier way of thinking, and I have a very specific example about that now. However, I'm going to talk about it later on in the video because it's now time to watch my live reaction to when I found it hard to get through the rest of the plank challenge. Please enjoy. Please enjoy me improving and enjoy me going through challenge. The shoulders are, oh my gosh, the shoulders. I felt a bit of lower back pain as well while doing the plank. I think that was because I wasn't focusing on tensing my core. Anyway, back to where I left off from the 15-minute 42-second mark of the video. Just for a brief summary, I was talking about what an example. I was leading up to talking about an example of a unhealthy thought pattern that I've worked through and that I've had time to work through over the past few days. Since starting this healthy routine of having no technology in the room from the time I want to go to bed all the way until I'm in the middle of starting my morning routine. Before I get into it, I'm going to say that I didn't finish the Scott Burnhard workout outside because it was raining, so I take it inside and I go through a few exercises all the way until the very last one. I don't do his bonus exercise because I'm just not going to do that in the room. There's too much jumping and all that. So as I was saying in my live reaction, which you can't hear because it's on mute, I don't mind doing it outside, but I do mind doing that inside in the room. There's just not enough space. But anyway, back to this thought pattern that I worked through. So this thought pattern in particular was my thoughts that I had in the past that I had to work through about going to the GP. The reason why I had to go to the GP in the first place, or at least felt the need to go to the GP, was because I did a lot of cardio. I did a lot of cardio for 5 times a week, 5 days a week for 2 weeks straight. Now that I'm looking over the voiceovers that's allowed me to get to this point, it's just like when one layer comes off, there's another one, and then there's another one, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. But for you to understand what I've just said there, let me carry on talking about it. The reason why I did this cardio was because at that moment in time, at around July last year, I was experiencing a lot of fear. I was having a lot of fearful thoughts. This was around the time I was just starting to get my hands on access to mental health videos. But the reason why I had very fearful thoughts very often was because me, members of my family, and one family friend in particular all had dreams about me passing away. Everyone but myself. I had a dream of me almost getting robbed twice, and everybody else who had similar dreams to me dreamed of me passing away. My sister said that she dreamed of me passing away in a violent way. She made that very clear, that she dreamt of me passing away in a violent way. And we all came to a conclusion that it would be sensible if I stop hanging around at a certain area. Don't get me wrong, when I say certain area, I don't mean anything like there are some absolutely shady drug deals going on or anything like that. Although these people did smoke and drink. But anyway, at the moment I'm just thinking of whether I want to actually say where it was. Personally, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think it matters for me. It doesn't matter in the long scheme of things, but I'm going to say it anyway, just so that I can personally work through this completely freely. This area that I've been talking about is the skate park. Now, anyway, let's get back to it. So we all agreed that I shouldn't go to the skate park because of all of these dreams. And from June, in fact, now that I remember, I think these dreams wasn't happening in July, but it was happening in June. Yes, so these dreams happened in June, and I decided, okay, I'm not going to go to the skate park. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to stop going there because of these dreams. And then in July, now, someone that I insulted then approached me with at least 3 of his boys. And I think this is where the fear really started, because things were starting to accumulate. There was that event in which I was approached and put in a position where I could have been jumped. And also the fact that there were these dreams, and my parents, for certain, like my mum, for example, unironically telling me that if I go to this area, I could die. Before I carry on, I would really like to say that if you guys ever want to work through your fears through speaking about it, I'd say just release, just like how I'm doing on this platform here, and say where it is. When it comes to you having short-term discomfort, work through it. For example, I just experienced short-term discomfort through not wanting to say where the area was. I'm not going to say the area for privacy reasons, but I mean the environment. It was a skate park. But I felt hesitant there towards doing it, because saying it just, I don't know. I had an answer when I just did the previous voiceover here a few seconds ago, but now it's just left me. I felt fear towards doing it because working through fears short term is just uncomfortable, and that part for me impulsively was uncomfortable. But now that I've said where it is in the environment it is, where there are smokers and there are 8 packs, and I'm not talking about the exercise kind, the kind you get from exercises. No, I'm talking about alcohol in the afternoon. So yeah, because I've said where it is, the skate park, I can now say it over and over and over again comfortably, and I can now therefore work through this completely freely. When I say work through this, I mean talk about it freely on this video. Going back to the insult now, I was just laughing about saying those exact words a few seconds ago, because to me, it's like working through it here is the final stage of me completely letting this go. I've almost done it, like I'd say 90 to 98% done, but this is going to get me to that triple digit mark. So let's go back to the insult, because that's another part of the core as to why I was feeling fear. So there was this young teenager around 15, right? Let's call him Joseph. So at this point in time, I've been going to the skate park for a while, maybe like a month or a couple of months or so. And I now see Joseph. So I'm just trying out new things, right? Going down ramps with my stomach on the board. And this is where it comes. So he tells me to do this, and I just do it because I found it fun. But he wanted to see me hurt. He wanted to see me injured. And after thinking about it months later, or even weeks later, in fact, I thought from the start, this guy didn't like me. Or now that I'm thinking about it further now, maybe he wants to see people in pain because he doesn't like himself. His situation to him may be so poor, and he has his own insecurities, such as when I insulted him, that he just doesn't know how to get over and work through. Now, after him telling me to go down the ramp, like how I explained earlier, and him not doing the same thing, I said to one of his friends that he was fat, basically. That's what I said to him. That's what I said to his friend anyway. The exact wording I said was, he needs to go on the Weight Watchers program. That's what I said to him. His friend. That's what I said to his friend. Let's call him Charlie. That's what I said to Charlie, right? Keep in mind that this is the only person I said this to. So Charlie went and told. I could even tell in his reaction, he's like, whoa, all right, okay. But yeah, so Charlie went and told Joseph. Now, in July, Joseph, with at least three of his boys come and approach me when I was just there, just existing. And he put me in a position where I genuinely could have been jumped. And after thinking about it, I just thought, this guy, he felt so unhappy. He felt so unhappy about it. And I got to him. I dug so deep in his skin that he couldn't approach me one-on-one like a man. He went and approached me with three of his boys. It was a 4v1, a potential 4v1 situation. It doesn't matter that these guys are younger than me. What matters is the fact that these guys are outnumbering me. It's 1v4 at least. Yeah. So now I've said that to him, and I haven't apologized, and I still haven't apologized. I'm not going to. Now that I've gone and done that, he's now gone and confronted me when I was just existing, minding my own business. And he tried to say anything that he thought could dig into my skin, just like how I dug into his deep. I dug into his deeply. And he tried to do that to me as well. I.e., he tried calling me a nonce because I was in a park. Because he saw me and he approached me with 3 of his boys like a little kid in a park where there are children and adults. But he tried calling me a nonce because I was just because I was just existing in a park where there are both adults and children. Where there are both children and adults. This guy tried calling me a nonce for it because I was living in his head for so long, and I dug so deep into one of his core insecurities that he couldn't approach me like a man. He approached me with at least 3 of his boys, because that's how weak of a man he is, and that's how unhappy he felt about me digging into this core insecurity of his. Not only that, but I think he may also have an inferiority complex, because he's tried to act tough to both me and to other people, saying, "Oh, I'll get my brother on you." This is apparently a brother that's been to jail and that stabbed someone. And I think he's gained an inferiority complex because he may have not. I don't think he has it in him to do such a thing. But he has to hide behind that brother by saying, "Oh, I'll get my brother on you. I'll get my brother on you," when in reality he won't do a damn thing himself. The guy approached me like an absolute punk. He approached me like a punk, and he could stay to the side with his negative energy and his punkness. That's where he can stay. I'm not gonna allow myself to put myself in a position where younger kids try pressuring me and try and act tough because they have their own inferiority complexes, because they think that if they don't act tough, then their self-worth is lower than what they would want it to be. Now that I've talked about it now, I'm feeling relieved. I feel a feeling of relief, like a lightness in my sternum, in my chest, right in between my pecs. I feel a lightness, I feel a relief after talking about it. I think this is it. Like, this is the 100% mark of me allowing me being able to let this go completely. But yeah, let's dig deeper to the aftermath of this. The aftermath being how this affected me. So keep in mind, there's this event that happened in which I didn't handle well afterwards, because I lived in fear after it for potentially half a year. Yeah. From July to maybe about December, I'd say, last year. So there was that event, the fact that his brother had been to jail, and all of the dreams of me violently passing away, and the dream that I had of me almost getting robbed twice. There was all of that went into play, yeah? So for months on end, I lived in fear, and I didn't really go out the house unless I was going to the gym or unless I was going shopping. Because in the back of my head, I didn't know this at the time, but in the back of my head, I could have been living with the subconscious thought that if I go outside and I see someone that even looks like him, or someone that has his sort of figure, or someone his age, or one of his friends, that I could potentially die. This includes seeing any random group of teenagers. Yes, it was that deep. That the fear that I had from everything collected, the event in which Joseph and 3 of his boys came my way, because he went and wanted to approach me. I heard him from afar say, "Oh, that's the guy that said so and so, or that insulted me about my weight," or something like that. Yeah, I did. because that guy was putting my health and safety at risk, and I felt a way about that. That is a justification, and I understand that because I've just justified it, that I actually, in reality, thought that insulting him in that way was in fact something that, upon reflection, I shouldn't have done. But that's just covering up for my actions because he did something worse. No, okay. Look, I said it. I said it, and months after me saying it, he then approached me. I said in June, I think, but no, this may have happened. Me saying it may have happened in May, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, all of those things, the event, his brother going to jail and apparently doing what he done. What else? The dreams as well. They all accumulated in my mind, along with the fact that I didn't know how to mentally deal with things. I didn't have any mental health skills, and I didn't go through the mental health videos that my sister gave me, or the mental health video that my sister gave me at the time, until later onwards. And then that's when my mental health skills started to compound in a positive way. They started to increase, which I think truthfully was the start of allowing me to be able to work through it. That was the start, and now this is the end. It's been quite a while since I've thought about it, but this sort of fear, right, I allowed it to control my life so much that I not only subconsciously thought that every time I step out the house, I could potentially die, but I was also thinking, what if Joseph or potentially even his friends see me when I'm just cooking food and just doing what I'm doing, because we didn't have a curtain lace or anything covering most of the windows in the kitchen, but we do now. And with that in mind, I just generally felt less safe, which is understandable because privacy. I don't want people seeing what I'm doing inside the house. I don't want people from outside seeing what I'm doing inside the house. So that's understandable to me. But the fear of thinking, what if this guy sees me, or what if that guy sees me, those fears I allowed to control my life, and it made me live in a lot of fear. That was a part of me living a life in which I thought I in the back of my head thought that I could die if I see anyone that looks like him, or even a random group of teenagers, for God's sake. Now that I've spoken about this, I now have to go all the way back to the fear of working through the GP. So so that was why I had to go to the GP in the first place, right? And now in order to work through this fear of not wanting to go to the GP, I looked into my previous understanding of the reality of things when it came to calling the GP and actually going there. And I understood that I felt what I called at the time apprehension, due to Stephen Reynolds calling his feeling of fear apprehension towards starting his first diet in his 12-week transformation journey, right? I called it apprehension. I think the reason why, when working through it, is because I hadn't had experience of calling people who weren't friends. But I decided that I'm only going there to improve my health. That's number one. And number two, I have a lot of experience of calling people who aren't friends, or in fact being called by people who aren't friends for a very specific reason, due to working in a customer service role. So calling people is now in fact in my comfort zone and not out of my comfort zone as it was back then, because I hadn't done that role back then, and therefore didn't have the experience of calling people back then that I'd have to use when calling people at the GP. But after working through it, I thought, okay, no, it's now in my comfort zone because I've had experience of those sorts of calls, and I'm only going there to improve my health. I needed to remember why I'm going there. It's for me, not for anyone else, not to try and impress anyone else. And I could have had that thought subconsciously, like, what if they think this? What if they think that? What if they think I'm faking it, for example? I genuinely could have been thinking that upon reflection. That's a new thought pathway, which I've never just thought until now. You'll see me create new healthier thought pathways and realizations in real time. I was talking about... Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. Let me just make it clear. I've now finished with that part of the video, and now I'm moving on to a topic that I've discussed earlier on in the video, which is about core habits. So I remember giving the healthy core habit example of having no technology in the room when you go to bed, all the way up until when you're in the middle of your morning routine the next day. And I thought that led to healthier... I even believe right now that leads to healthier thought patterns, and working through past thought patterns that were unhealthier and therefore building a new mindset of it. It also allows me to try out new exercises with the kettlebell and just have fun in general. Allows me to also read as well. But I'd also say an unhealthy core habit is eating poorly. This eating poorly leads to feeling low and complaining about the low, and eventually other things in life, therefore filling up your, what I call, your ungratefulness journal. The complete opposite of a gratitude journal, without even realizing it, because it's not something that you consciously take note of. For example, when I do gratitude journaling, at least, I don't just say it and then let it go. No, I have to consciously think about it and then write it down. However, in saying that, it's getting easier to feel grateful for things. For example, I feel grateful that it's so much easier to do this voiceover, even though there's no video playing right now as I'm making the voiceover. It's just black and there's no video or even background image. But in iMovie, I can make a voiceover as easily as I can in this new editing app, and I feel grateful for that because it makes the video editing process much easier. That allows me to make videos much more quickly and efficiently to be able to post to you guys, and also for myself in the future to look back at, just like how I thought of using this plank journey from the start. My proof of that is the Plank Day 4 starting from somewhere video. But anyway, this ungratefulness journal, or now that I've just thought about it, ungratefulness account, leads to you feeling depressed, or can lead to you feeling depressed, feeling anxious, and feeling like you have no control of your life, when in reality you do. And I'm going to put a photo now of all of the writing that I thought of, but particularly I'm going to put a photo of the core diagram. Before I carry on speaking about this, I'm going to move on to something else. I'm going to go back to quote-unquote Joseph. I don't think this guy... I may have said it in the video, but I'm going to contradict myself if I have. I don't want to put that energy out there of calling him a punk. That's very negative, in my opinion. And I think that would be me stooping to either his level or slightly higher than that negative level in which you want to see people in pain just for your entertainment because of your insecurities, such as your weight and the fact that your life isn't what you'd like it to be. You're not living in a way that you'd like. Your situation may not be as pleasant as you'd want it to be. And if I have said it, I'm going to take the fact that I've called him a punk back. What I am going to say is that that guy is no more than just a kid with insecurities, just like with any other teenager. But it's just that with that insecurity of his weight, it dug me saying it and calling it out, dug at him. It absolutely dug at him. It could have also dug at him even more, the fact that I didn't say it to his face directly. I didn't think of it as like, oh, I'm scared to say it to his face. That's just how it went. But yeah, I think this person is just no more than a child with major, deep insecurity, so deep, and they cut him so deeply when you talk about it and when you call them out, that he's willing to, or this person I should say, is willing to approach you in a hostile way with more than one person and make you feel as if you could get jumped, put you in a position where you genuinely could get jumped, because his emotional control is so low and that person's so negative because of his insecurities and his perception of his situations, that he's willing to approach someone else that's called out his insecurities. I did do it behind his back, to be fair. I did do it behind his back. When it comes to something like that, I should probably say it to the person's face, or better yet, not say it at all. But anyway, I said it. He found out. Charlie must have told him, because that was the only person I said it to. So he went and told, and then he's gone and approached me in a hostile way, and that just makes me think he's no more than a child that with major insecurities, that when you talk about it to someone else, he just gets so insulted that he's willing to approach you in a hostile way with more than one person. Make it 4v1. Now that is a person that's low. I'd say neither side is clean, because I insulted him, but he approached me in a hostile way about it. So I'd say he's a lot more dirty in this situation than I am. But even still, I'm not perfect, and I'm certainly in that situation, I'm not clean. So it is up to me to hold myself accountable, just like how I've held him accountable, and to say, no, it's not acceptable to just go around and insulting people. Not like that. Even if they want to see pain for your entertainment, ideally that is something that you don't do, and what you instead do is practice emotional control and just pay them no mind. This person is a child with insecurities, not a potential murderer, as I thought of him in my head due to the dreams, the event in which he approached me in a hostile way, and his brother from prison. He's not a murderer. Well, at least as far as I'm aware anyway. I was going to just repeat it and say he's no more than a child with insecurities and not a murderer, as I made him out to be subconsciously in my head for months on end. But I think saying that again and again and again is just overdoing it at this point in time. But yeah, I'm going to go back to speaking about the call. So this call was a call that I've decided to come up with, and it's related to do with how your life goes out, how your life pans out, and how you grow as a person. At first, I wasn't actually sure about what's deep. What is the one thing at the core? What is it? I just didn't know. I just didn't have an immediate answer, because it's so thought challenging and thought provoking. But I did come up with some ideas, and I brainstormed that maybe what's at the extreme core of you as a person, which will allow you or not allow you to grow because of your actions, could be your current understanding of the world and your understanding of the life situation, along with the daily actions that you take and that you do because of them. I'd also, now that I think about it, I'd also say your habits as well, your daily actions. Yeah, but for example, what I'm specifically talking about is your routines. If you have any routines, if that's not in your daily actions, that is certainly deep in the core there somewhere. But I'm not sure. If you have any ideas as to what could be deep in everyone's core as a person and which determines whether they grow, please let me know in the comments. I'd be interested in hearing your ideas. But yeah, this is what I've personally come up with. It's an idea that I'm developing, so it's not like I have a concrete, it's this and this and that. No, I don't have that way of thinking about it yet. As a final note, I've made a note somewhere that I decided I wanted to switch through certain parts of the plank journey every 2 weeks. I have it here. So the note that I made, which is no more than just an idea, is I can switch between doing exercises on the mat, as you see me do, skipping rope, and going up the plank journey ladder once every 2 weeks. This is something that I could do, so I actually progress in all of these areas and I don't neglect them, but at the same time I don't find it challenging to carry on switching compared to how I would if I switched every single day as I originally made the idea to do, or which I originally intended to do. Yeah, I've had this new idea of switching between all three of them once every 2 weeks to give myself enough time to grow in all of these areas and not neglect them, but at the same time not find it too difficult to switch. When I say that, I mean switch between all three sorts of exercises: the mat exercises, the skipping, and the plank journey. Woo! This is a long video, and you know what? I have a lot more to talk about. However, I'm going to leave it for now because this video could genuinely become over an hour long. But for now, this is it. This is the end of the video. I will see you in the next one. Peace. I have been doing this for hours, potentially less than 4, hungry. I haven't had anything to eat. I've just had a little bit of water to drink. So I'm going to give myself some time to actually eat and do everything else that I've set to do for the rest of the day. Speaking of, that's actually another idea that I wrote down in my journal that I'm going to release, but I'll do it later on in another video. But anyway, that's it. I'll see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed and that you could learn something from it, especially when it comes to working through your fears. But yeah, anyway, peace. Take care of yourselves out there, man, and work through your fears. It may be uncomfortable short term, but that discomfort short term is going to give you that long-term comfort, of you being able to grow as a person, and you'll keep, I'm telling you, trust me, that's what I'm doing. And now I can 100% let go of that event that I had fear of, that event that I actually made a private video about. But now, as I've been able to freely talk about it and work through that short-term discomfort, such as actually saying where it was, I've worked through it, and now I can 100% release. And now I have something valuable to show for it, because it's an example of which people can learn from. Granted, other people's fears, you guys watching, your fears may be different. They absolutely will be different because we're not having the same experiences, but you absolutely can learn something from this, especially if that sort of fear applies to you. You can learn something from it. And if there's any one thing I'd say, it would be re-exposure therapy. Work through it by going to that area. That's what I had to do, and that's what I've made a private video about. Just go through that area and work your way up. But for me, that's what's worked. But I'd also direct you to the therapy in a nutshell video. Type in re-exposure therapy, therapy in a nutshell, and a video about it that will allow you to help yourself infinitely more than I ever could have. Will allow you to take that fear out of your life and improve your life to the next level, and therefore grow from it, and therefore be able to grow as a person from it. But yeah, man, yeah, that's it. I genuinely think that's me done with the voiceover now. But for now, I'll see you in the next one. Please just take care of yourselves out there, man. Physical health, mental health, and growing in all aspects of your life is just so important to do. Because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have been able to work through that fear. And I would have been, at this point in time, feeling that fear of potentially thinking that I could die subconsciously. Every time I step outside the house would still be happening. It would still be happening if I didn't work through it. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the video, I think. But yeah, anyway, please take care of yourselves out there and grow as people. You'll love it. You'll love yourself for doing that in the future. But yeah, peace.